What is your favorite trope? I feel like I know my favorites: enemies to lovers, fake dating, or arrivals to lovers, but I don't really explore outside of that. That's why for the next 3 months, I'm going to pick a trope out of this mug and read 3 romances in that trope to decide if it's a favorite or if I should just avoid it. Every month for the next 3 months, you will receive a reading vlog from me reading a trope that I've picked out and letting you know what I think and just the whole process. So it's July, let's pick July's. Oh, academic rivals. That's really interesting. I actually don't think I've ever read an academic rivals book. Not one that is solely focused on academic rivals. I mean, I've probably read it before, but I don't think I know it as a trope. So let's build my TBR. In doing some research, I think I have read the academic rivals trope, but I want to get the full experience. As I said, I love rivals to lovers, but I don't really know what academic rivals is. When I think about it, I think two people that are maybe like the valedictorian and trying to compete for the top spot, a lot like Icebreaker by A.L. Graziadei. As a fan of rivals to lovers, I think I might have read a few books that have academic rivals, but when I think of academic rivals, I'm thinking two people that are at the top of their class and they're competing against each other. And I don't think I have read that yet. So I am still doing some research to find my TBR, but I want to read off of mayasbookshelves.com what the definition of academic rivals is. This says academic rivals to lovers. Academic rivals to lovers usually occurs in romance and contemporary romance books where the main character and love interest are either in school together or were in school together. So I have read Beach Read, that was on a couple lists, and that has former academic rivals, but they were like barely rivals in school, so that's why I'm not really thinking of it as that. My biggest problem with Beach Read was that it was mismarketed and it was just way heavier than I thought it would be. So I don't hate the book, I just hate my experience I had with the book. How does academic rivals to lovers happen? They're competing to be the best at something and are always beating each other at whatever it is until they're eventually forced to do something together, like a project for instance, where they're forced to spend time together and realize that there's more to their relationship than just competitiveness. This trope usually comes along with the main character or love interest realizing that their competition has made them into the person that they are now and that they don't know who they'd be without it and don't want to know who they'd be without it. Okay, I guess it's just rivals to lovers set in school. Like, I want two people that are competing for a spot. Maybe that's just what I have to seek out, but I'm still building my TBR, so I will be back once that is all finished. It is Saturday, July 8th, and I started my first book, and I am really loving it. I can't believe I haven't read Rachel Lynn Solomon before. This is about Neil and Rowan, and they have always been battling each other in school, and now it's graduation, and Rowan is so glad she doesn't have to see Neil anymore. I feel like something's going to happen where that doesn't get to happen for her. For instance, what I think is going to happen is that she will be going to the same college as him or something, or maybe he'll be working at her summer job. I'm not sure yet because I haven't gotten that far, but so far I'm really enjoying it. There were some text messages included. I love Rivals to Lovers because I love having a character who just hates the other so much, and Rowan is giving that. She is like, I just don't want to have to see this guy anymore. I just don't want to see him again. And as the reader, you're like, buckle up. You're probably gonna have to see him again. So far so good, and I'm really glad because I've been wanting to read her books for years. So I will update you once I've read more of this, but that is it for now. Hello, I am still reading Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, and I am enjoying it so much. Currently, I am watching and participating in some sprints over on Margaret's channel. I'll have her channel linked down below. She does a lot of reading sprints, and I am so glad I'm enjoying this. I have been wanting to pick up Rachel Lynn Solomon for so long, and this just hit the spot. It's bringing me back to 2015 booktube when I would read contemporary. Like, this is so 2015 contemporary in the sense that it's like Morgan Matson, where it's just fun and feels very much like teens just existing and having things go on. What I really enjoy is this is about a girl named Rowan who wants to be valedictorian, and throughout her whole high school career she has been fighting and battling with this guy, Neil McNair, and her whole story is her just learning that she doesn't have to be the best at everything. And she loves romance novels, but a lot of the people in her life are just making fun of it and making her feel bad about it to the point where she just hit it. And so you have so much going on. Basically, there is like the last day of school for seniors, and then there's something called Howl, which is a scavenger hunt throughout Seattle, and whoever wins $5,000. And so far, this is so fun. Basically, how it works is you are given someone that you need to kill, and you have to take their wristband, so kind of like Manhunt. And this is so fun because I am learning more about Seattle, we're learning more about these characters, and it is just such a fun time. As I've been reading this, all I can think about is wanting an adult version of this. I would love Rachel Lynn Solomon to make an adult version of this book where we have a character who peaked in high school like Rowan, was super successful. Rowan is the salutarian, and she just wants to be the best. And so I would love to see an adult character who did peak in high school, was similar to Rowan where she was the best, and then got to college and like adulthood and realized that's not the case. I would love to see that because I feel like there's a lot of story that you can play into and write, especially from some emotions and just a lot of things that happen to adults who were gifted. I would just love that. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to try to finish it up in the next couple days. If you have read this author, let me know what the next book I should pick up is, because I want to read all of her work and I don't know where to start. As for the trope, I'm really enjoying it, especially how this is written. Is the rivalry is so strong, and I love how Rachel is putting all of the characters in certain situations. Like I said, I love rivals to lovers because you're putting these characters against each other and then forcing them in proximity. That's my favorite thing. So I'm gonna finish this up and I'll let you know my thoughts. Hello. I just finished today, tonight, tomorrow, and holy shit, if I were still rating books, I would just give this a 5-star. I loved this so much. The pacing was great. I was devouring this book because it has a game, and I loved the way that the trope was incorporated, because it's not a situation where you have these two people who despise each other because they have just been trying to be the best, but you know how sometimes that can be super insta-lovey. It could be really easy to have this be an insta-love romance because it's set in one day, but the way that you learn about their relationship over time is so interesting, especially when it doesn't have a then and now. Sometimes books like this have flashbacks to certain times, and the way she does that is through like emails and text messages, which I think is so fun. And also the characters themselves, as they're together through this night, they are reminiscing about high school and just being like, hey, remember when I beat you in this? Remember when we did that? And you just grow to really like these characters. I just want to drop everything and read all of Rachel Lynn Solomon's books. Like, I am going to go to the library sometime this week and just get all of her books. I do have an arc of Business for Pleasure, which is her newest romance, and I believe that's an adult romance, but this was so good. I think it's more so because it was nostalgic in a way where it transported me back to the days where I loved contemporary. I mean, I am still the contemporary king, but it just made me think about when I would read Morgan Matson and Jenny Han. Any of the contemporary writers of the 2010s are reminiscent in this book, and I just had such a fun time. So as I finished my first book for this experiment, I would say I really like academic rivals to lovers, and now that I know the definition, I definitely saw aspects of that in this book. There is a part where the characters realize that they were good for each other. Their fight to the top helped them grow as a person. And that is one of the key factors in the academic rivals to lovers trope. So I'm interested to see if that continues. So A+ for this one. Like, I could just finish this video right now with this book and be like, okay, I like academic rivals to lovers, but do I like it in other books? Like, did this author just write it really well? We will see with the next 2 books. I am taking a beach trip tomorrow, so I'm going to bring my Kindle and start reading Everybody Hates Kelsie Miller by Meredith Ireland. This is a road trip setting featuring 2 ex-academic rivals, I believe, and I love a road trip book, so I'm super excited to get into that one. Okay, I need to read to you the synopsis of Everyone Hates Kelsie Miller because it is comped as Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, so we might have another winner here. But this sounds so good, and I need to just tell you what it says before I even read it. This is so up my alley. Today, Tonight, Tomorrow meets a faux love story. Is a faux love story in academic rivals? I'm not sure. Well, I guess it's a rival. In this whip-smart young adult novel about a girl who embarks on a breezy road trip romp with her longtime rival to win back her best friend and his girlfriend. There's no one Kelsie Miller hates more than Eric Mulvaney Ortiz, the homecoming king, captain of the football team, and academic arch rival in her hyper-competitive prep school. But after Kelsie's best friend Brianna moves across the country and stops speaking to her, she'll do anything, even talk to Eric to find out why. After they run into each other literally at the last high school party of the summer, Eric admits he's been ghosted by his girlfriend Jessica. Kelsie tells him she's had zero contact from Brianna since she's left their upstate New York town. Suddenly, a plan is they'll go on a road trip to the University of Pennsylvania the following week, when both Brianna and Jessica will be on campus. Together, they'll do whatever it takes to win back their exes. What could go wrong? Oh my god, this sounds so good. At first, I thought it was sapphic, and honestly, I kind of wish it was. So maybe I could find one. I'm getting all of these recommendations from TikTok, so this could also be a Can I Trust Book Talk video. But so far, that synopsis sounds so good. I am just feeling like I'm back in my 2015 contemporary era, and I'm having so much fun. And now I am so excited to read this next book because it sounds fantastic.
You say you don't wanna get in trouble, that you're doing fine cause you got me. I don't wanna break your little bubble, but you gotta wake up to reality. Cause I can see in your eyes, your head is full of dreams. Tears are...
Hello, I just finished Everyone Hates Kelsie Miller, and I really enjoyed it. This was such a great book about messy characters, which I love. I also have a strong bias because I am from Pennsylvania, and that is primarily where the book is set. Basically, we're following Eric and Kelsie. They are academic rivals, and they go on a road trip together to the University of Pennsylvania to try and win back their exes. For Kelsie, it's her ex-best friend, who is just not talking to her at the moment. She's not answering any of her texts, and she's not sure why. And for Eric, his ex-girlfriend Jessica hasn't answered any of his messages, so they go in a car together from New York to Pennsylvania to try and win them back. And this was so fun. It's a rom-com, and I really just enjoyed the character development. As I've only read 2 books for this video so far, I'm enjoying the way that the authors are writing this trope. For this book specifically, we learn about each character through the road trip, which was really fun. And I'm also noticing that this trope is very one-sided, where we have a character who despises the other, and it's usually the female protagonist, and the male protagonist is just like, what did I do for you to hate me so much? And I want to take back what I said at the beginning of the video, where I was like, Beach Read isn't an academic rivals, but I just didn't know what academic rivals was, because as I'm reading all of these books about academic rivals, oh, Beach Read is absolutely an academic rivals. With this book, it's really interesting because they go to a prestigious school. Eric is a football player, but he's actually really smart. And Kelsie is a Korean adoptee, and she's also very smart. But both of them have different views about academics, where Eric is like, I don't want to pursue what my family thinks, and Kelsie just had the wrong impression about him. So when I'm talking about the character development, it was so good. The ending actually sealed the romance for me because I wasn't a big fan of it. I just kind of felt like didn't really need to have a happily ever after or anything like that. I thought that the book could just end on its own, but I do really like the way it wrapped up, and it is super queer. Kelsie is figuring out that she's demisexual, she's having that awakening. Eric has 2 dads, and Kelsie's best friend, Brianna, is bisexual. But I would recommend this. I really enjoyed it, especially if you want some demisexuality in a rom-com. I cannot speak on that representation. I'll try and find a review if I can, but I did like the trajectory of her figuring out her sexuality, because at the beginning of the book she's like, well, doesn't everyone just feel like that? Before I sign off for the night, I want to share with you a quote. I really like it. Still realizing I was demi explained why I'd never felt attracted to anyone I met at a party or while hostessing. Labels could be a problem, but they could also help me understand. I didn't need to think there was something wrong with me or felt tempted to keep pushing myself to feel attracted to people I didn't know. It just would come in on its own time. I just really enjoyed this. I love a good rom-com, and I think I am getting used to the academic rivals trope. So far, so good with the second book. I have 2 books remaining on my TBR. Next up is I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and I believe that this is about 2 valedictorians, and it should be sapphic, so I will be getting my sapphic valedictorian academic rivals book. Hopefully I like it. I am a little nervous about it just because I haven't read Casey McQuiston in a while, but I have heard really good things about this. It is Wednesday. I've started I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and it has the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope, and my favorite book is Paper Towns by John Green, and I am getting all of the Paper Towns vibes. I am only 3% in, but I needed to pick up the camera and tell you that I cannot wait to read more of it. I read some reviews because I know I have friends who enjoyed it, and I just love to know about a book before I'm going into it. From the reviews I've read so far, it does tackle religious trauma. Hello, it's Wednesday, and I have been so sick. I have been sick since Friday with a sinus infection, and this is the sickest I've ever been with one, and it's something that I get a lot. Honestly, I haven't gotten a sinus infection probably in the last 3 or 4 years, which is great for me because I used to get them yearly, but this time it was worse. Today I am feeling better. I'm on an antibiotic, but I'm still taking my time with things, so today's like my last day of rest a little bit before I get into work and stuff. I'm 30% into I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and I am enjoying it, especially because it's giving me Paper Towns vibes, and it is making me want to reread it so badly. Hello, I just finished I Kissed Shara Wheeler, so let's talk about it. This follows Chloe Green, who is in high school. She goes to a private Christian school that her mom used to attend. She has 2 moms. There is a lot of sapphic energy in this book. Chloe herself is bisexual, and there are a couple other queer characters. There's another girl who's bisexual, and there is just a lot of talk about being a queer kid. In this book, religious trauma is talked about, and it's through a queer lens. There's multiple characters who realize their queerness and realize how much religious trauma has affected them and their sexuality or gender, and I really loved seeing those awakenings. This reminded me a lot of my experience in Catholic school as a kid, and I could relate to a lot of the feelings that the characters had, and I read the acknowledgments, and Kelsie themselves says they wrote this book for queer kids who are in that situation to show them that they matter and they deserve rom-coms just as the next person. And I really enjoyed this for the fact that it, again, gave me nostalgia. I feel like a lot of these books are giving me nostalgia in different ways. This one specifically is because I love Paper Towns, and I was trying really hard not to compare it to Paper Towns, and I just enjoyed the way that the characters all met each other, and there was also that part of having a book that is set during senior year, and how senior year is just that different year where you realize and meet a lot of the people that you may not have at the beginning of your high school career. And what's interesting about this is that Chloe's mom went to this school. And so they used to live in California, they moved back to Alabama, and now she is attending this private Christian school. And I really enjoyed the scavenger hunt part where Shara has left all of these notes, and then Chloe ends up becoming friends with Smith, who is Shara's ex-boyfriend, and, well, boyfriend and then ex-boyfriend, and Rory, who is the guy next door. And I really enjoyed that dynamic. It was just good. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked what it had. I won't say it was my favorite read of this video, but I'm glad I read it. I liked what the story talked about. I liked the characters, and I really liked seeing them come out on top at the end. The ending was really fun. I will say though, this is just a minor complaint. The book was like 350 pages, and I just thought it was too long for me personally. I wish it was a little bit shorter. I just think that there was some stuff that we didn't really need. I wish that it would have been a little bit faster after the midpoint, but honestly, that is my only complaint. Anyway, I enjoyed this. Let me know if you've read it, and now we are on to the final book. And now I have the final book, Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Quach. I'm excited to read this one. I promise in the next videos I will not be having so many books on my TBR because I need to finish this video. I'll probably have 3 books on my TBR moving forward, but just for the first video, I wanted to kick it off strong and have a lengthy TBR. But this is my last book. I actually have the audiobook, which is going to help me because I'm participating in a readathon, and so I'm filming another reading vlog during this one. I have the audiobook for this, so I'm hoping to finish it in a couple of days, as I am also reading for that readathon. Hello, it's Friday, and I am still reading Not Here to Be Liked. I wanted to update you because I haven't really talked about the book much. I think I'm like 50% of the way. I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm enjoying it. I don't really know what my full thoughts are. This book has a lot of mixed reviews, and I've been going back to Goodreads because I don't really know what I feel. I like the concept, but I don't know what else I feel. I'm getting the sense that this is a book where I'm not going to know how I feel until the very end. We're following Eliza Kwan, who is running for editor-in-chief of her high school newspaper. This is a dream of hers, and no one's running against her, so she's definitely going to get it. But on election day, she finds out ex-jock Lynn is running against her. He recently joined the paper, and she's super confused about this. So they both say their speeches, and Lynn ends up winning. And so Eliza starts talking all about feminism and how sexist it is that he won. Quick correction here, because what actually happens is Eliza writes an essay for herself just out of anger, and then she goes into school the next day and that essay is on the front page of the paper. So I wanted to correct myself here, because she doesn't just go off accusing people of being sexist and misogynistic. There is a bigger part of the story here. She didn't mean for this to go viral. She just had this private for herself, and that ended up happening. And that ends up happening, so it is way bigger than her just accusing people of being sexist. And she starts a movement in the school. It's super controversial. There's a lot of people against her, a lot of people for her, and I think this does a really good job talking about it. This has a nuanced take on feminism, and I like the way that it is incorporated into the book, because Eliza is really learning what feminism is, and so are a lot of her peers. As this is super controversial, it also shows kids trying to start a movement in school. They're doing a walkout and they have pins, and one of the scenes I really liked at the beginning of the book, after all of the events go down, Eliza starts giving out these feminist pins. I can't remember what they say, and I tried to look in the book, but I can't find the page. But if I do, I will put it on the screen. But she finds another girl selling them, and basically she's just making a profit off of this situation, but she doesn't realize what's actually going on. And I really like that that was incorporated, because there's a way to talk about feminism in a book and just say, like, yeah, we're feminists. Since the conversation in this book can be nuanced, I really like the way that the author is showing it from all sides. I like that there's a news setting. I think that's different for academic rivals, because like I've said in this video, academic rivals usually is like valedictorians or just people that are up against each other in school, but this is so different. Because it's a club situation and there are stakes as a editor-in-chief, I really like the way that the author is putting this together, especially with the feminism conversation, but also there's so many different conversations going on, like pressure from family, because Lynn, the only reason that he is even editor-in-chief is because he got hurt in baseball and he can't play again, and so he needed a hobby, but he doesn't want his mom to think he's a failure, and I think that's so important. I'm excited to see where the romance between Lynn and Eliza goes, because I think it's super interesting. It's definitely enemies to lovers. Eliza is a really hard character to like. Eliza is very strict, and she is hard-headed. She is definitely an unlikable character at times, but you can just see that she is passionate about a lot of things, especially this feminist movement that she's starting. So far, I'm enjoying this book, and I will let you know my thoughts. I feel like I'll be able to finish it up by the end of today. I just think this is such an interesting book, and I love when YA books add so many conversations, but we'll see if the author can land all of those conversations and wrap them up nicely. I want to see that happen, and I'm also interested in the sports aspect because there's baseball. So safe to say I'm enjoying this so far. I love character-driven books, so I'm really excited to see where Lynn and Eliza go. I am happy to report that I just finished up Not Here to Be Liked, and I have no notes. Everything I had a problem with and all the questions I had were all resolved by the end of the book. I really enjoyed that this book went deep. It talks a lot about feminism and sexism, but also intersectional feminism, since our main character, Eliza, is a Chinese Vietnamese American, and her parents are immigrants, and their perspective is different from the generation they grew up in and just what their life story was, versus Eliza. She wants to change the narrative. It was written really well, and you could see the barrier between Eliza and her mom, because her mom still has the mindset that she grew up with, and she tells her daughters what they're supposed to do so their life is set for themselves. So I really enjoyed that it didn't just stop at school. Talk about a character growing, because Eliza at the beginning of the book is not here to be liked. I love this. The back of the book says, "Warning, this book has an unlockable female character." I love that because there are so many Goodreads reviews that are complaining about Eliza, but I think she grew really well in this book, because there were so many times that I was like, do you really know what feminism is? It's about equality. There are times you are going to hate Eliza because she is annoying sometimes, but her character arc is great. I really enjoyed the way she was developed and grows because she realizes feminism is not what she was practicing. And I think that that is very common for a lot of people, but I really love that this is in a YA book, especially because if there's a teenager reading this, they can learn at an early age. But I was getting so pissed off because I was like, wait, this isn't feminism because you're all hating each other. I was getting irritated because these girls are claiming that they're feminists. At the same time, they're calling each other sluts. And I was holding out because I was like, I really hope that this is a part of the story. I really hope that these characters realize, hey, we're not actually being feminists because we're hating each other and we're being mean to the other girls and calling them horrible names. And so that was challenged and it was resolved. I was so happy about that. But honestly, if you want a book that is academic rivals, but it also really tackles feminism in so many different aspects, I thought this was good. And it has baseball, so if you like baseball. So with that being said, I think that this was a great first episode for my Trope Taste Test. I already picked for episode 2. I'm really excited to start that one, and the teaser will be at the end of this video, so you'll get to know a little behind the scenes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you like queer and trans books, or you want to continue watching my Trope Taste Test series, feel free to hit subscribe and turn on my post notifications so you don't miss out. Let me know your favorite trope and your least favorite trope and a recommendation for either of those. I would love to pull from the comments during this whole series. I'm at Pucks and Paperbacks on Instagram, and if you don't feel like leaving a lengthy comment, you can just comment any school emoji in the comments so I know you stayed, because I read academic rivals in this video. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Forced proximity.